The highly anticipated launch of As Ever Organic Jam, a flagship product from Meghan Markle's nascent lifestyle brand American Riviera Orchard, was abruptly derailed by a decisive intervention from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA. This action, far from a minor administrative hiccup, sent immediate shockwaves through both the celebrity and business worlds, marking the genesis of what would rapidly escalate into a full-blown crisis. The FDA's stated reasons, severe registration failures and potential consumer safety concerns, were not mere technicalities. They struck directly at the heart of consumer protection and legal compliance, fundamentally undermining the credibility of the entire venture from its very outset. At the core of this initial catastrophe was the alleged failure of As Ever Jam to be properly registered with the FDA's Food Facility Registry. In the highly regulated landscape of food production and distribution within the United States, this omission is not just a mistake. It's considered a fundamental and stunning blunder. Federal food safety laws are unequivocally clear on this point. Any and all food products intended for interstate commerce, meaning produced in one state and sold in another or across state lines, must undergo mandatory registration with the FDA. This registration serves as a critical gateway, ensuring that the agency has a record of the manufacturing facility, can conduct necessary inspections, and verify adherence to established food safety standards. For a product to enter the market without this prerequisite registration constitutes a major violation of federal law. The gravity of this registration failure extends far beyond mere paperwork. Without proper registration, a crucial chain of accountability and oversight is entirely broken. There exists no official, verifiable record of where the As Ever Jam was actually produced. This means that details typically taken for granted by consumers, the specific manufacturing location, the environmental conditions of the facility, or the last time it underwent a regulatory inspection, remain opaque. Furthermore, the absence of registration implies a lack of governmental oversight regarding the specific ingredients used, their sourcing, and critically, whether the fundamental hygiene and sanitation standards mandated by food safety regulations were consistently adhered to throughout the production process. This opacity creates a significant void in traceability, a cornerstone of modern food safety systems designed to prevent and respond to outbreaks of foodborne illness. Medical experts and food safety advocates swiftly condemned the alleged noncompliance, articulating in no uncertain terms that selling unregistered food products to the public is not just an ethical lapse, but an inherently dangerous practice. Their warnings underscored that without the proper regulatory framework, consumers are left vulnerable, relying solely on the producer's unverified assurances. In a food industry where transparency and adherence to safety protocols are paramount, operating outside these established norms is viewed with extreme seriousness, irrespective of the brand's celebrity backing. This initial regulatory misstep immediately transformed what was intended to be a glossy, aspirational product launch into a serious public health concern, setting a precarious precedent for American Riviera Orchard. The immediate fallout from the FDA's suspension was severe and instantaneous. The news cast a pall over American Riviera Orchard's nascent operations, shattering its initial credibility and eroding nascent public trust. For a brand aiming to embody quality, lifestyle, and a sense of refined living, being flagged by a federal agency for basic safety noncompliance represented a catastrophic opening chapter. It painted a picture of a venture that, despite its high-profile founder, had allegedly overlooked or disregarded fundamental legal and safety prerequisites. This early misstep not only jeopardized the product's market viability, but also laid the groundwork for a broader narrative of oversight and potential negligence that would soon plague the entire brand. The FDA's action was not merely a warning. It was an unequivocal statement that regulatory adherence is non-negotiable, even for the most celebrated of entrepreneurs. Building upon the initial regulatory catastrophe revealed by the FDA's intervention, a second, equally damaging layer of the As Ever Jam scandal swiftly emerged, centered on the very identity and promises of the product itself. while the FDA's concerns highlighted a failure in fundamental legal registration. This subsequent revelation plunged American Riviera Orchard into an authenticity crisis regarding its premium marketing claims, specifically its proud declaration of being 100% organic. The organic label is not merely a marketing buzzword. It represents a deeply significant and highly sought-after attribute for a growing segment of health-conscious consumers. It signals a commitment to specific environmental practices, animal welfare standards, and, crucially, a product free from synthetic pesticides, fertilizers, and genetically modified organisms. In the United States, this promise is underpinned by the rigorous USDA National Organic Program. For any product to legally bear the USDA organic seal or claim to be 100% organic, it must undergo a meticulous and often lengthy certification process. This involves stringent inspections, documentation review, and adherence to a comprehensive set of standards established by the Department of Agriculture. The certification acts as a critical third-party verification, assuring consumers that the product truly meets these strict organic requirements, thereby building an essential foundation of trust. The core of the controversy surrounding As Ever Jam was the conspicuous absence of this vital USDA organic certification. Despite the prominent 100% organic claim emblazoned on its packaging or in its marketing materials, no verifiable record of such certification could be found. This discrepancy quickly escalated the scandal beyond a simple regulatory oversight into an alleged act of misleading labeling and potential consumer deception. For a brand to leverage the immense value and trust associated with the organic designation without having undergone the required verification process is not just an ethical lapse. It's considered illegal under federal labeling laws. These laws are meticulously crafted to prevent false advertising and ensure that consumers receive accurate information about the products they purchase, particularly concerning premium claims like organic, which often command higher price points. The alleged misuse of the organic label, even if unintentional on the part of the brand, created a profound sense of betrayal among consumers. Those who actively seek out and consciously choose organic products often do so due to deeply held beliefs about health, sustainability, and ethical production. They pay a premium for this assurance. To discover that a product proclaiming itself 100% organic might not possess the necessary, legally required certification is to feel profoundly deceived. This specific revelation was particularly infuriating for consumer rights advocates and food law attorneys, who voiced strong anger. They viewed it as a blatant disregard for established labeling regulations that are meticulously designed to protect consumer rights and ensure fair competition within the food industry. Their concern highlighted the broader systemic implications. If a high-profile brand can allegedly bypass these standards, it undermines the integrity of the entire organic market. This authenticity crisis further compounded the damage already inflicted by the FDA's registration suspension. It painted a picture of American Riviera Orchard as a brand that, at best, was woefully unprepared for the intricacies of food regulation and, at worst, was willing to prioritize marketing appeal over verifiable compliance and consumer transparency. The organic claim was not a peripheral detail. It was a cornerstone of the jam's premium positioning and appeal to a discerning market segment. Its alleged falsity shattered an additional layer of consumer expectations and intensified the growing perception of the brand as one perhaps more focused on superficial aesthetics and celebrity endorsement than on foundational integrity, robust quality control, or unwavering adherence to the stringent standards required in the food industry. This perceived lack of substance and emphasis on image above all else fed into a broader narrative that began to frame the entire American Riviera Orchard venture as a hollow vanity project, further eroding any remaining trust that consumers or industry partners might have held. As the damning details of the FDA suspension and the unverified organic claims became widely disseminated, the scandal entered its third, perhaps most visceral, phase, an avalanche of public disillusionment and swift, uncompromising market rejection. This was the moment the crisis transcended legal documents and regulatory jargon. spilling directly into the realm of widespread consumer sentiment and commercial viability, quickly transforming into a full-blown public relations catastrophe. Many individuals who had either been intrigued by Meghan Markle's celebrity status or had genuinely invested in the aspirational image of American Riviera Orchard expressed feeling utterly duped. This wasn't merely intellectual disappointment. It was a visceral reaction to what was perceived as a fundamental breach of trust. Consumers had been led to believe they were purchasing a premium, safe, and authentically organic product, backed by a high-profile figure. The revelations that the jam allegedly lacked basic regulatory approval and verifiable organic certification felt like a deep personal affront, undermining the very premise of their purchase. This disillusionment quickly ignited a social media firestorm, providing an immediate and highly visible platform for public anger and mockery. Platforms like TikTok and YouTube became veritable arenas for collective frustration. Videos surged across these networks, depicting individuals dramatically discarding the jam, sometimes with expressions of disgust or comedic exasperation. These visual acts of rejection were amplified by trending hashtags such as #JamCam and #NotSoever, which rapidly gained traction, creating a communal space for shared disappointment and criticism. This viral online backlash not only spread awareness of the scandal, but also solidified a negative narrative around the product and brand, turning what might have been a niche incident into a widespread cultural talking point. Even Meghan Markle's former ardent supporters publicly expressed their dismay, articulating a sense of having been personally misled. They had placed their faith in her reputation, believing it to be an implicit guarantee of quality and integrity, only to realize that this trust, in their eyes, had been misplaced in the face of alleged noncompliance. Beyond the digital outcry, the physical market reacted with equally striking rapidity. Retail outlets and health food stores that had previously stocked as Everjam moved swiftly to pull the product from their shelves. This was not a hesitant or gradual process. It was an immediate and decisive commercial withdrawal. The reasons cited by these retailers underscored the gravity of the situation. One anonymous retailer candidly admitted to feeling personally deceived by the product's alleged non-compliance with FDA regulations. Crucially, they stated that they could not, under any circumstances, afford to risk their customers' safety or expose themselves to potential lawsuits stemming from selling an unregistered and potentially non-compliant food product. This immediate commercial action reflected a powerful commitment to consumer safety and legal prudence within the retail sector, demonstrating that even celebrity allure could not override fundamental business ethics and regulatory obligations. The impact extended further up the supply chain. Large, established organic food distributors, key gatekeepers whose partnerships are essential for any food brand aspiring to widespread market penetration, began to reevaluate all future collaborations with American Riviera Orchard. The resounding sentiment from these powerful industry players was that trust had been broken. In a highly competitive and reputation-sensitive organic food market, a scandal of this magnitude, touching upon both regulatory compliance and product authenticity, is anathema. Distributors, who stake their own reputations on the quality and legality of the products they carry, could not afford to associate with a brand perceived to be in such profound disarray. This reevaluation was not a minor setback. It effectively shut down critical distribution channels for as Everjam and, by extension, cast a long shadow over the future market access for any subsequent product from American Riviera Orchard. The cumulative effect of this public disillusionment and comprehensive market rejection was the rapid isolation of American Riviera Orchard. What had been envisioned as a grand entry into the lifestyle market instead became a cautionary tale of how quickly a brand can be crippled when fundamental building blocks of trust and compliance are allegedly absent. The widespread consumer backlash, coupled with the decisive actions of retailers and distributors, effectively choked off the product's lifeblood, pushing the brand to the very precipice of commercial viability even before it had fully begun. This phase cemented the perception that the venture was not just facing a challenge, but but a profound crisis of credibility that resonated with both the public and the industry at large. As the waves of regulatory condemnation, alleged deceptive labeling, and widespread public and market rejection crashed down upon American Riviera Orchard, Meghan Markle's professional teams were abruptly plunged into an all-consuming crisis mode. The focus shifted entirely from brand building to damage control, a testament to the severity and multifaceted nature of the unfolding disaster. The legal team was immediately tasked with an urgent and formidable challenge: to rectify the alleged FDA violations with the utmost speed and precision. Their primary objective was to avert the imposition of official, potentially crippling penalties. These sanctions loomed large and included not only substantial legal fines that could severely impact the nascent brand's financial viability, but also the very real and rapidly escalating threat of potential class action lawsuits from disgruntled consumers. The complexity of these legal challenges was immense, given the fundamental nature of the regulatory breaches alleged, requiring meticulous review of compliance protocols, supply chains, and any existing documentation that might support their defense or mitigation efforts. It was a race against time to demonstrate any degree of belated adherence or a credible plan for remediation before irreversible legal consequences took hold. Simultaneously, on the public relations front, the situation rapidly escalated from a mere setback to a full-blown and highly destructive PR disaster. For Meghan Markle, who had been meticulously working to redefine her public image and establish herself as a credible force in the lifestyle industry post-royal life, this scandal represented an almost insurmountable obstacle. Every effort to rebuild her personal brand and American Riviera Orchard's public perception was now severely hampered, if not entirely undone, by the pervasive negative headlines and the public's loss of faith. The narrative that began to dominate was not about aspirational living, but about alleged negligence and a disregard for consumer safety. Industry experts and veteran PR professionals were quick to weigh in, their assessments largely grim. Many concluded that trust in Meghan Markle's brand is now irrecoverable, a devastating prognosis for any public figure or commercial enterprise. This sentiment reflected the deep and systemic nature of the alleged failures, touching upon legality, ethics, and consumer trust, making a simple recovery seem improbable. A prominent celebrity crisis manager offered a particularly sharp and pointed critique, asserting that Meghan had fundamentally overpromised, underdelivered, and refused to take responsibility. This harsh indictment highlighted a perceived disconnect between the grand ambitions of American Riviera Orchard and its alleged foundational shortcomings, suggesting a deeper issue of accountability that resonated negatively with both the public and industry observers. This critical juncture saw the narrative around American Riviera Orchard solidify into one of a hollow vanity project. The perception gained traction that the brand was conceived with an overemphasis on superficial aesthetics, high-profile celebrity endorsement, and aspirational marketing, but lacked the necessary, robust underlying infrastructure of quality control, regulatory compliance, and genuine consumer protection. This reinforced the idea that the venture was more about image than substance, further alienating consumers who felt genuinely misled. The allegations of basic legal missteps and misleading organic claims provided potent evidence for critics who had long suspected the project lacked the rigorous foundational work essential for sustained success. Amidst this relentless onslaught of public criticism, legal pressure, and reputational damage, reports indicated that Meghan Markle herself was reportedly devastated and angry. This personal toll underscores the immense pressure and emotional impact of facing such a widespread public and professional fallout. While a public figure is accustomed to scrutiny, the direct challenges to integrity, safety, and basic competence strike at the core of one's professional identity and personal investment. The emotional reaction reflected the profound depth of the crisis and the personal stakes involved. The culmination of this phase was a substantial and potentially enduring erosion of Meghan Markle's overall reputation and brand equity. The initial excitement and goodwill surrounding American Riviera Orchard had been replaced by skepticism, criticism, and a deep sense of disappointment. The scandal did not merely affect the jam product itself. It cast a long and damaging shadow over Meghan's credibility as a businesswoman and her capacity to successfully navigate ventures beyond her royal duties. This intense period of crisis management laid bare the vulnerabilities of celebrity branding when basic industry standards are allegedly neglected, solidifying a negative narrative that would be exceedingly difficult to dismantle. As if the preceding cascade of regulatory failures, alleged deceptive marketing, public backlash, and market rejection weren't enough, the Meghan Markle jam scandal escalated to an unprecedented level of official concern with the direct intervention and subsequent public guidance issued by the FDA. This final climax underscored the profound gravity with which governmental bodies viewed the situation, solidifying the narrative of a brand deeply in crisis and posing genuine questions about public safety. The FDA, typically reserved in its public pronouncements unless faced with dire threats, took an extraordinary step. It issued specific, unequivocal guidance requesting that consumers actively report any instances of continued sales of as ever jam. More critically, the agency went on record to classify the product as a public safety threat. This designation is highly unusual for a simple food product like jam, especially one launched by a celebrity. Such dire warnings are almost exclusively reserved for items implicated in serious foodborne illness outbreaks, widespread contamination risks, or products that pose an immediate and direct health hazard. The fact that the FDA elevated a celebrity-endorsed preserve to this level of concern sent a powerful, unmistakable message. The regulatory breaches were not minor oversights, but represented a significant and potentially dangerous lapse in product integrity. This move transcended typical administrative procedure, transforming the incident into a matter of direct public health vigilance and official warning. This unprecedented level of regulatory intervention bore an immediate and somewhat ignominious historical consequence. The As Ever Jam achieved a dubious distinction. It became widely reported as the first product from a British royal family member to be unofficially banned in parts of America. While not a formal, nationwide governmental ban in the strictest legal sense, which would typically follow prolonged investigation and legal process, the combination of the FDA's public safety threat warning, the swift pulling of the product from retailer shelves, and the distributor's cessation of partnerships created a de facto, widespread market prohibition. This label, while informally applied, firmly cemented the scandal's place in the annals of both celebrity business ventures and regulatory enforcement, serving as a cautionary tale for high-profile individuals venturing into highly regulated industries. The cumulative effect of these successive climaxes has led to a near-unanimous assessment of the scandal's impact. It has been widely described by royal commentators, PR experts, and business analysts alike as the messiest chapter in Meghan's post-royal journey since her departure from official royal duties. This period was meant to mark her transition into a powerful independent brand, a new chapter defined by entrepreneurial success and impactful initiatives. Instead, it has been marred by a highly public display of alleged non-compliance and reputational damage. The perceived inability or unwillingness to adhere to basic safety and labeling regulations has led to grim predictions for American Riviera Orchard's future. Many industry observers are now forecasting that the brand could go down in history as the fastest collapse of a celebrity lifestyle brand ever seen. A stark warning about the fragility of ventures that prioritize facade over fundamental operational integrity. The As Ever Jam scandal, therefore, offers several crucial broader lessons and implications. For celebrity branding, it underscores that fame and charisma alone are insufficient to guarantee success, particularly in highly regulated consumer goods sectors. Robust legal compliance, stringent quality control, and unwavering transparency are non-negotiable. For regulatory bodies like the FDA, the case highlights their unwavering commitment to consumer protection, regardless of the individual or entity involved. It also reinforces the critical role of third-party certifications, like those from the USDA, in building and maintaining consumer trust in specialized market segments. Ultimately, the scandal surrounding as Ever Jam is more than just a story of a failed product. It is a complex narrative of ambition clashing with regulation, marketing promises clashing with verifiable truth, and celebrity influence being tested by the uncompromising standards of public safety and market integrity. The lingering historical implications suggest that American Riviera Orchard, and by extension Meghan Markle's broader brand efforts, will face a formidable and protracted challenge in rebuilding trust and establishing credibility in the eyes of both consumers and the broader industry. The incident serves as a powerful reminder that in business, as in many aspects of public life, foundational compliance and unwavering integrity are the true pillars of lasting success.